Hey guys, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to my next part of my review. I'm going to be reviewing the rogue cards that have been released for Journey to Ungoro. And yeah, let's get on with it. So, the rogue quest is the Caverns Below. The quest is if you have to play 4 minions with the same name and the reward is Crystal Core. So 4 minions with the same name. So it's encouraging things like Shadow Step, sending things back into your hand, Shadow Caster, Disselty, maybe even Youthful Brewmaster to send things back into your hand. And the reward is Crystal Core, 5 mana, and for the rest of the game, your minions are 5/5. So, at first, it seems like a bit of a strange quest. But the reward is actually nuts. If you're using this with any kind of cheap minions, your minions being 5/5s is just going to give you in such insane tempo that you should be able to close the game out very quickly. Especially if you're playing things like Violet Teacher that's summoning a load of 1/1s. Things like Swashbuckler, etc. Like this, it's just going to be a case of as soon as the quest is done, you're gonna be sorted pretty much. So yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can go about this. There is the new Firefly minion, and there are some elemental minions that give you a 1/2 elemental into your hand. So you can use those cards and play the 1/2 elemental 4 times, or you can go a different route of just playing lots of cheap minions and trying to do it with Shadow Step, trying to do it with Shadow Caster. There's also a new spell that can help you do it. But this is going to be definitely one of the most fun quests to complete. Like, it's not a case of just summon this many Death Rattle minions, summon this many blah blah. It's like really combo oriented. Like, you're like, oh, I got to send this back and do this. And you got to really plan about which minion you're going to do it with. So generally it's going to be good with Battlecry minions, like sending stuff back to your hand. You got things like Swashbuckler, Novice Engineer, SI7 Agent. There's a very good new 5-drop going to be good with, although that would be a bit more clunky because it's 5 mana. But yeah, cool quest. The first spell is 1 mana. It's Hallucination. Discover a card from your opponent's class. So it's similar to Burgle. So it's 2 mana cheaper than Burgle. You're getting 1 less card, but you're discovering the card. So rather than just getting 2 random ones, you get the option of 3. For the mana you're paying, this is much better than Burgle. And like, maybe this could even encourage Burgle Rogue to be a thing, because Ethereal Peddle is a strong card. It's also 1 mana, so it is very effective with a lot of the rogue combos. So like with SI agents and eviscerates, 1 mana spells in general are just very good in rogue. So maybe you even play this in some kind of Miracle-esque rogue with Auctioneer and stuff, just because it's 1 mana. It could also help you to find defensive cards and AoEs. So rogue has a severe lack of AoE and a severe lack of defensive cards, whereas Hallucination can help you find stuff, and you're more likely to get something defensive than you are from Burgle, because you actually get to choose between the 3, and you can choose one that fits your situation, obviously. So this is a really good card. This is a really good card. I don't think you're going to be playing this in Quest Rogue, but in any other type of rogue, definitely Burgle Rogue, and maybe other types of rogue, this could be good. 2 mana 2/2, Razor Petal Lasher, Battlecry, add a Razor Petal to your hand that deals 1 damage. So it's been confirmed that Razor Petal is a 1 mana spell that does 1 damage, which is pretty weak. Like, 1 mana deal 1 damage is underpowered, but that's not the point. The point is that it's a 1 mana spell that is doing something. And similar to the last one, any 1 mana spell in Rogue is just very good for activating combos and such. And a 2 mana 2/2 is like an okay stat line. So adding a weak spell to your hand for a weak stat line, I think you're pretty happy with. Like, you have Zarul, the 4 mana 3/2. That's only got +1 attack to this, and it's 2 mana more. However, it is giving you better spells, right? So the spells you're getting are like deal 2 damage or giving you +3 attack, which are obviously better than deal 1 damage. But I think this card is decent. In some kind of combo-esque rogue, this could Could maybe be a thing. Razor Petal Volley is 2 mana, add 2 Razor Petals to your hand that deal 1 damage. This one, I'm not so sure. Like, I think this card is good. But Razor Petal Volley, not so sure. It's a lot slower. It's not actually doing anything, right? So it's putting 2 things in your hand. Basically, it's like, it's setting yourself up for combos, right? 2 mana, put 2 cards in your hand that are going to be useful for combos. But I can't see that being useful. I can't see it being useful. I mean, maybe Malygos Rogue's still a thing. I'm not sure if you would play this in Malygos Rogue, though, when you have, like Sinister Strike and Eviscerate and that kind of thing. But maybe you would, because you have a lot of spell damage with, like, Thalnos and that kind of thing. And to be fair, a lot of the time on Rogue 2, or on turn 2, Rogue 2, a lot of the time on turn 2, Rogue is using their hero power. But I don't see why you would play Razor Petal Volley over Razor Petal Lasher. I don't know, I just think this is just way better than the Razor Petal Volley. Maybe, I mean, this is more spell heavy, so it works with Auctioneer. It'd be better if you're playing things like Arcane Giant, and anything that synergizes with spells, really. This is better, but this is just better to me. Okay, and Venom Weapon, give your weapon poisonous, 3 mana. So this is really interesting, and could actually be really good. A lot of the time you are daggering on turn 2 with Rogue, like I said. You dagger on turn 2, and then use this on turn 3, and then whatever you hit, you're killing. So you're kind of gonna want to give more charges to your weapon to kill more stuff. You're gonna have to hit stuff though, so you're gonna have to take damage. So you might want to play the 3 mana free Violet Illusionist, the 3 mana free 3/4 that makes your hero immune on your turn. This would be insane with that card. Also, this works with Blade Flurry. It's been confirmed this works with Blade Flurry. So you can envenom your weapon and then clear the entire board. You don't need to buff your weapon at all. You literally just need to have a weapon, give it poisonous, and then use Blade Flurry. So there is definitely a possibility that it's essentially 7 mana clear the board, right? I mean, well, 9 mana if you're including the 2 mana for equipping the weapon. But assuming you already have a weapon, it's like 7 mana clear the board, which is really good. Like, Flame Strike is a good card. This is better than Flame Strike. It is 2 cards though, so it is a 2-card combo. But I think this could be playable. I don't know. Like, I don't think you're gonna be playing this in like a quest type rogue, or you're not gonna be playing this in an aggressive rogue, right? You're gonna be playing this in a slower rogue. But rogue doesn't have that much good AoE right now, so it could maybe see play. Maybe. Next card, 3 mana spell Mimic Pod, draw a card, then add a copy of it to your hand. So this is very good with the rogue quest. If you get 2 copies of a minion, then that's going to help you complete the quest. It's similar to Arcane Intellect in terms of the value you're getting. So 3 mana, draw a card, and add another thing to your hand. I think this is just great. Like, I think this is just great, to be honest. I don't see... Is it ever not good enough in the rogue quest? The only thing about this card is that generally Rogue has always been good at card draw. Rogue usually plays things like Fan of Knives, Thalnos, Auctioneer. So they have, mainly Auctioneer, right? Auctioneer has very often been the core cycle for Rogue. So there's definitely an argument to say that, what's the point in playing this if you're playing Auctioneer? But Conceal is going to be moved out to the Hall of Fame, so Conceal and Tomb Pillager is being rotated out. So that's two of the best cards to use with Auctioneer being rotated out. So I think this definitely will see play in the Quest Rogue, and I think it's good. Obsidian Shard, formed a 3/3, costs 1 less for each card you played from another class. So this is another synergy with, well, Burgle Rogue, essentially. So you're burgling cards and then you're playing them, and then you could get a 0 mana 3/3 weapon. Better than Spirit Claws, oh my god. But it is very slow to play. So, firstly, you have to steal all the cards from your opponent, so you have to play Burgle and Undersea Huckster, etc., that kind of thing. And then you have to play the cards that you get as well. I mean, you do have Ethereal Peddler, which can give you good tempo plays and reduce the cost of everything. So even in a Burgle Rogue, I'm not sure if you'd play 2 of this. I think you'd probably play 1. Because, I mean, a 2 mana 3/3 weapon is very good. A 3 mana 3/3 weapon is good. You know what I mean? So I think if you're playing Burgle Rogue, I think you will play this. But it is the case of, it is a bit slow until you've... I mean, if you've played one spell of your opponent's class, it's good. A 3 mana 3/3 weapon is good. I guess the issue is that a lot of the time on turn 2 you're daggering. Like, maybe if you're playing an Obsidian Shard, you definitely want to, like, cram 2 drops in your deck, because you don't really want to dagger on 2. You want this to be your weapon. You want to play on curve. Like, you want to play on curve for tempo, and then play this for tempo as well, like not removing your other weapon. I think it's really cool. I'm really interested to try Burgle Rogue, because I've always loved Burgle Rogue. It's one of the most fun decks in the game. It's just really fun, man. Okay. 2 mana 1/1 with combo, gain +1/+1 for each other card you've played this turn. Biteweed. So it's kind of like a mini Edwin. It's mini Edwin, which has half the effect of using loads of things. So a lot of the time with Edwin, if you have a very cheap hand early on, you can empty your hand and just get a massive 8/8, 10/10 Edwin really early on, and it can just carry the game for you on your own. This isn't going to be like that. You can't just... If you empty your hand on turn 1 or 2 and just get like a 4/4 or 5/5 Biteweed, it's probably not going to be enough to close... It's not going to be enough to close the game out for you, and you're going to have emptied your hand. So it's not quite as explosive as Edwin. It's more of kind of a mid-game tempo-y card. Like, I think this is more often a lot more likely to be played like with... Say you do like prep something, play this. Like prep Fan of Knives, play Biteweed. You like deal 1 damage for everything and summon a 3/3. I think this is a lot more likely to be a 3/3 than anything else. If you're playing this as a 2/2, it's really not worth it. If you're playing it for a 3/3, it's good. Playing it for a 4/4, it's very good. But it just depends how much resources you're actually giving up to buff this, because you're not getting as rewarded by buffing it as you would for Edwin. So you need to hold it back a bit more. Like, it's nowhere near as explosive. But definitely a good card. And maybe this is one of the cards that has really good synergy with like the Razor Petals. Maybe that's one of the reasons for running Razor Petals. So yeah, next card, Vile Spine Slayer, 5 mana 3/4, combo destroy a minion. This card's nuts. Many people have called it Assassinate on a Stick. It's not quite Assassinate on a Stick, because you do have to play a card first to play this. But it's great. Like a 3/4 that destroys a minion is absolutely great. You're going to need to play a lot of cheap stuff to combo with this, because you need to be able to combo it. Like, you want to be like coining this out on 4 or something like that, or on 6 playing a 1 mana spell with this, that kind of thing. It's also very good with Shadow Step. This could be the type of minion that you want to bounce back to your hand to complete your quest. This minion's super exciting, and I think it's not necessarily an aggro card, but it's so good for tempo that you could definitely play this in like tempo-y decks, like in any slower rogue deck, any tempo. Like, it's just great. If you're playing things like if you're playing Shadow Step, I think you're playing this card 100%. This card is so strong. This card has to see play, man. I think this is one of the best cards in the expansion. I think it's really, really good. Okay. So the Rogue Legendary, Sherazin Corpse Flower. 4 mana 5/3. Death Rattle go dormant. Play 4 cards in a turn to revive this minion. So this may be another reason to use the Razor Petals. Maybe the Razor Petals are there just to use with things like Sherazin and Vile Spine and Biteweed and stuff. But playing 4 cards in a turn is pretty pretty difficult. A 4 mana 5/3 is obviously very underpowered. Rogue is one of the classes that is more likely to be able to play 4 cards at the turn than most classes. If you get this back to life once, it's good. Like a 5/3 with Death Rattle, summon another 5/3 is a very strong card. So I think this card, like initially when I saw it, I was like, nah, that's terrible. But playing 4 cards in a turn is not, in Rogue, it's not that hard. I think you're going to be have to playing things like Burglary Bully to create coins, and you want a lot of cheap stuff and stuff that creates cheap stuff, which means you're going to need a lot of card draw. So, there's no deck that this necessarily fits into. Well, it can fit into a deck with Biteweed and a lot of Razor Petals, but I'm not sure that is actually going to be a good deck. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely an interesting card that can have lots of good value, but it's probably just too slow. Like, I think in a deck where you're playing lots of cards in a turn, I think you'd rather just play like Violet Teacher, and instead of the 5/3 have a 3/5 that summons load of 1/1s. I think you'd much rather play Violet Teacher than this, so yeah. I'm not sure this will see play. But yeah, Rogue Quest is insane. Can't wait to get Shadow Stepping some stuff. I think the minions you're most likely going to be completing the quest with are either the elementals, the 1/2 elemental that you can add to your hand, or Swashbuckler, or SI7 agent, maybe Novice Engineer, and maybe Valspan Slayer, although it's a lot slower. But yeah. Rogue looks super sick. Super sick. Yeah, really can't wait for some sweet Rogue action. But yeah, that's my Rogue review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.